Making espresso, at least to me, and I'm sure probably to many of you watching, is kind of a moment of zen. It's a moment where I can just put my pure focus into something completely outside of myself. But with that modern push towards screens and automation, as admittedly cool and functional as they can be, nothing really beats that hands-on, raw, solo brewing experience. And that is exactly what this machine, the aptly named Solo, is all about. It's a standalone espresso-only machine that utilizes the reliability and functionality of an E61 group, coupled with optional flow control to give you the ability to unlock the broad spectrum of espresso brewing. But of course, regardless of its simplicity or predictability, the Lucca Solo also has its own issues, so I'll be covering all of that on top of its features, its performance, and its build. But first, in the spirit of full disclosure, the folks over at Clive Coffee sent me the Lucca Solo for review, of course having agreed to my terms of no access to this video or the contents in it until full public release. With all that out of the way, we're going to dive right into it after a quick word from this video's sponsor, Third Wave Water. When it comes to brewing the best coffee, quality ingredients matter, and purely by the numbers, water makes up to 98% of what's in your cup, and it's absolutely vital to the long-term reliability of your equipment. So after months of testing and trials, I've landed on Third Wave Water formulas for all of my coffee preparation. Not only is it formulated to not produce scale or cause corrosion, but there's an option for every palate. Third Wave Water offers a wide variety of mineral blends specifically designed to get the most out of your favorite roast level or brew type. So take control of one of the most important variables for brewing quality coffee today and head over to thirdwavewater.com/Sprometheus or use code Sprometheus at checkout to snag 10% off your first purchase. Thanks to Third Wave Water for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back into it. The Solo, as you've likely already noticed, is, for lack of a better term, pretty bare bones, but it does pack a lot into its sturdy little frame. Up top, you've got a railed-in cup warmer, which lifts off to reveal its internal and removable 2-liter water tank, which is BPA-free plastic. Also underneath the cup warmer is the expansion valve adjustment screw, which can be used to manually adjust the overall pump pressure that's shown on its main gauge up front. And the pressure itself is created by a vibration pump internally that is listed as quiet on their features, but I'd say it runs around the average range in my experience. Inside the machine sits a brass 3/4 liter brew boiler, which distributes water throughout the machine via some silicone and some brass tubing. And because the boiler is relatively small, it reaches its set temperature in about 5 to 6 minutes, which of course can be adjusted using the digital PID display on the face of the machine, which also doubles as a shot timer. But in terms of brewing, the machine itself is ready to make espresso in about 15 minutes after it's fully heated up and the water has had enough time to circulate through the whole group for more consistent and stable brewing temperatures. And speaking of the group, the Solo is equipped with the highly recognizable, modifiable, repairable, and very capable E61, which of course means it accepts a commercial size 58mm portafilter. The Solo also includes a bottomless and double spouted, plus a matching tamper. And finally, this unit is also equipped with the optional flow control. So up top, this lever manages the flow of water into the group, which offers pressure control during the shot itself. This gives you the ability to pre-infuse, build up, ramp down, and whatever else your little espresso-loving heart desires. When it comes to E61-based machines, really what you see is what you get, and when it comes to the Solo, that's all you get. But in the right hands, it is still very capable. And with its small boiler and relatively powerful 850-watt heating element, shot temp consistency isn't really a concern. Though I will say that since the E61 group is always circulating water through it to maintain its temperature stability, it's always heating and reheating water. It's not the most efficient system, but in terms of brewing, it does do a great job. And the Solo also does offer something that I haven't seen in a lot of E61s that aren't plumbed in, and that is essentially line pressure pre-infusion without the line pressure. Meaning when you open up the brew valve halfway just before engaging the pump, you will get water flow from the group, which acts as a soft pre-infusion. And its flow rate, much like when the pump is on, can be adjusted via the flow control. So this functionality on top of pressurized pump-assisted pre-infusion really allows for a lot of customization in brewing. So it kind of goes without saying, but I've had tons of great shots in a wide variety of ratios, coffees, roasts, and of course, flow profiles. But to circle back to the start of this section, I think it does need to be reiterated that the Solo doesn't really come with any guardrails or training wheels. So when it comes to the quality and consistency of your espresso, it is fully dependent on the user's capabilities and understanding of extraction. So the Solo isn't what I would consider a beginner-friendly machine, unless you're ready to take on a pretty steep learning curve. The Solo is, of course, incredibly simple both inside and out, but that simplicity won't save you from some common issues and even possibly some issues related to said simplicity. One of those common issues is the water tank, and more specifically, how accessible it is to stuff. Because the tank sits open just beneath the metal top tray, which also has some openings on it, so it's not unusual to find stuff floating in there. And by now, I've convinced myself that they're just coffee grinds, but even if they aren't, it's still not ideal. Also not ideal is the small drip tray in terms of its depth and volume. When using a scale, I found most of mine hung off the edge of the tray in order to avoid the discharge valve pouring water all over it. And the discharge valve itself, if disengaged too quickly, aggressively kicks water out and it can end up spraying hot water all over the front of the machine and counter. And this is all on top of how fast the tray itself also seems to fill up. And lastly, what I would consider its biggest issues are its availability and cost in that order. And that's because availability-wise, the Lucca brand is the in-house brand of distributor and retailer Clive Coffee based out of Portland, Oregon. And because of that, it's really only available in North America. But silver lining, I guess, is the machines were built in collaboration with Quickmill, so essentially the Lucca Solo is a modified Quickmill Corolla. But when it comes to the price point, the Solo hits the market at $1,295 without flow control and $1,535 with it, which in my mind, considering its focus on being espresso only, puts it in a position to be essentially compared to much less expensive machines, including manual lever machines that you can get for much cheaper that are also espresso only. So that $1,200 to $1,500 price point may be hard to justify for folks who are out there looking for espresso-only options. When I first posted about the Lucca Solo on my socials, I did get a handful of comments mentioning its basic appearance as a steel box, its lack of features, and it just being essentially another E61 added to the pile of E61s, on top of it being pretty expensive for what it offers. And sure, of course I understand that sentiment and I see where they're coming from, but in my mind, there's a market for every machine, but as such, there's also a machine for every market. And the Solo is more of an acquired taste, and not an option many people would start with, but most likely one they'd find their way to after some experience. I mean, for example, at this point in my coffee career, the raw, hands-on, tactile experience of using the Lucca Solo is far more appealing to me than the software and screens of many more modern options. And really, with some patience and experience, it can produce shots just as good. And in my opinion, in the case of brewing coffee, it is far more satisfying when you had full control versus putting in some data points and watching the software do the work. So in my mind, the Solo offers all of that in a small, well-built, sturdy package, with really very few downsides. Beyond being outside of its area of availability, there really isn't anything that I would consider deal-breaking. But on that note, I think it's time I start wrapping this one up, and as always, pass the conversation on to you. So what are your thoughts on the Lucca Solo? And also, what are your thoughts on pump-driven espresso-only machines? I feel like it's not something we see all that often, and I'm beginning to wonder why. So drop your answers to those questions and any others you may have in the comment section down below. And as always, I'll see y'all in the next video. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that little bell button for notifications when new videos drop. Check out my Instagram at Sprometheus for more coffee content. Help support the channel by considering becoming a member for unique exclusive perks. And as always, stay caffeinated. Pony Boy